Security. Gonna get rid of the waiting room. Hello.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
What's your favorite cat?
My favorite cat?
Yeah, kind of like what kind of color?
Oh. I'm a big fan of calicos. They have a lot of attitude. I have a calico, a tuxedo, a brown tabby, and then a tabby white mix. Those are my 4 cats. Actually, the tuxedo is right next to me asleep. Let me send this email.
Did you ever own a dog or no?
Yes, I had a Boston Terrier from when I was 8 until I was 22. So I love dogs. It's just that when I went to grad school, you know, being gone like 12 hours a day, I didn't think that was very, you know, yeah, you're good. I was running late, so I think a lot of people probably like got the message that I wasn't in yet, and we're like, okay, well then I'll take a break. But yeah, I love dogs, but when you're gone like 12 hours a day, it's not really fair to a dog. Whereas cats, like they have litter boxes, they can keep themselves entertained, they sleep 16 hours a day. Here's this one being really lazy. I'm shaming you, Henrik. You don't care. You don't care.
I just might scared because I have the cat, but she's mean and she's lazy. So
Oh. Yeah, I don't have, none of my cats are mean. One of them isn't very friendly, but like she doesn't really like people. But she loves other cats. Like she's very close to all the other cats, so it's fine. I don't care.
Well, my dogs mostly kill cats, so
Hmm,
it's
that's
our
scary.
backyards.
That's not good.
Um, my little
Yikes.
dog kills rats. One killed raccoon.
Wow,
No, possum. Not raccoon, a possum.
that's scary.
And one bring a bird.
I did used to have a cat that would kill birds. Um, he would bring them to the front door and ring the doorbell, actually. So you never knew when you answered the door if you were going to see a person or if it was going to be just a dead bird on the step.
I warn you, never get a pet bird because they'll wake you up all freaking midnight.
Yeah, I used to really want a pet bird, but they are a lot of they're a lot of work. That's what I've heard.
You can't sleep. That's why you can't sleep. That's all I'm going to tell you that.
Some friends of ours have like a rescued macaw, and they have this like big aviary outside that it lives in with a couple other like parrots, and that's pretty cool because they have sort of their own thing.
Isaac, what kind of dog do you have?
I think we've seen Isaac's dog, haven't we?
You have it. You have him. It's a Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
I have a Rottweiler and I can't remember the other rest. I'm trying to remember the names. Dang it. I can't remember them.
Trying to make sure I'm getting everybody as they're coming in. Everybody's coming in at once. I closed I didn't use the Ileana, that is weird, but that's okay. I didn't use the waiting room today because I was not at the computer.
Which one is the most naughty cat you have?
That's definitely this one, Henrik. He gets into everything.
Example.
He will, well, one of the things he does that I hate is if I get up and he wants me to come back to bed, he'll just yell, like he'll just scream and just scream and scream and scream. He also will eat through, several times he will eat through plastic to get to bread. Like I have to put my bread in like a bread box, like a legit straight up old person bread box, because he will eat through plastic, like a plastic bag to get to bread. So anybody who comes in my house, I'm like, if they have like any kind of bread product, I'm like, you have to put that up.
How about walls?
Yeah. So yeah.
One of my time, I think my parents or one of my parents had a dog and then he chewed through the wall.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, some dogs are bad for stuff like that. Okay, I think we have most everybody who we are going to get. So some quick housekeeping. Number one, the grade in Power School may or may not be correct for this class. And the way I say may or may not be correct is because we're all having some trouble syncing the grades from Schoology to Power School, okay? So what that means is that right now, your grade in Power School is the correct grade. Or not Power School, sorry. Forget what I just said. Your grade in Schoology is the correct grade for you, okay? I am working to get them synced up if they're not. So if your grades are different from one to the other, I am working to get them synced up. If that means that I have to go and like manually input them later tonight, I will do so. I don't know whose name is random, but change your name or I'm booting you because I have to do attendance. Okay, bye. Okay, I guess that's what I get for temporarily getting rid of my waiting room. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so if your grade in Schoology is correct, your grade in Power School may not be. I will input them manually if I must. If you have anything that is missing, that's probably what is bringing your grade down, right? So for most of you, that's the SLA essay. So if you have not done your essay, that would be the first thing that I would say to do to bring your grade up. If there's any other missing assignments or things that you didn't get a good grade on, that would be the other thing that would help you get your grade up. So those would be my suggestions. So if you have questions about that, but by and large, we're mostly doing okay. Yes, Jasmine, I hopefully have an answer. What is your question?
You said the diagnostic test wasn't going to be a grade.
It is not. If you look in Power School, it is marked as ungraded. And it is also marked as ungraded. So there's a score because that's what you got on it, but it is in the category of ungraded. Okay. So it doesn't count towards anything actually in the class. The journal entries are, in fact, the new nows. That is correct. That's the next thing we're going to talk about. Yes, Zachary.
I would say when we're gonna turn on our journal entries, but you just answered that.
Yep, let's talk about that now. Okay, so next issue of housekeeping is that I would like you to turn your journal entries in tonight, or at the very least tomorrow by midnight. They are not going to be in your first progress report. Okay. So they're not going to be in your first progress report, which is why I'm going to give you the option of one more day to do it. So if you go to today's lesson, that's where the journal entry is to turn it in. Okay. That's also where you can do your makeup SLA essay. Right. So yes, you are correct, Emily. So in the 917 folder, this is kind of like the VIP folder for us right now, okay? I need you to do 3 things in the folder for today for me, please. And I'm gonna share my screen with you. Okay, so in this, oh, wait, am I wrong? Okay, yeah. Your journal entry, you'll turn that in the 917 folder. And then in the 914 to 918 folder, so I'm really tired, is where you'll turn in your makeup essay. If you didn't do your SLA essay, right? That can be turned in here. And the other thing I need you to do is to download this rubric, fill it out, and submit it right here under self-assessments by tomorrow. Okay. Now you'll notice that I went ahead and gave everybody the credit for doing the self-assessment. And the reason why I did that is because you will all do it. It is a very easy, simple thing to do. And it also gave everybody some, we haven't talked about the do now yet, Evelyn, so you haven't missed it. We're doing a housekeeping first, just so that people don't get confused. Emily, if it has a grade, I have, and if it doesn't have a grade, I haven't yet, because I've been working on Schoology all morning and fighting it and yelling at it. Okay. So 3 things. 1, journal entries. 2, make up SLA essay if you have to. 3, do the communication rubric and fill it out and submit it under self-assessments. And it's all right here or right here in 917. Is this clear? Okay, following the advice of my friendly advisory, can you repeat the last part? Yes. Under the 914 to 918, I need you to do 3 things. I need you to turn in your journal entries, and that's in the 917 folder. I need you to fill out this rubric and submit it in self-assessment. And I need you to make up your SLA essay. If you feel like what you are missing a do now, where can you find them? You're welcome, Kyler. They're in the PowerPoints, right? So if you click on, let's see. So I just had a question about, yep, class content on 911. So you click on 9.8 to 911, and you click on 911, and you click on the lesson. And then I think this may be one where the do now wasn't labeled. So that's actually my bad. I'm going to make sure, and I have it actually on my thing for, yeah. So this actually, the last slide, what do you think? This is our do now. And in the future, I promise after this journal entry session, I have made it a point. Yeah, for those of you who are confused about if you had to do the makeup SLA essay, your SLA essay will be blank because it's excused because you can only have a grade in one. So you'll either have a grade in SLA essay or you'll have a grade in makeup SLA essay. You won't have a grade in both, okay? But in the future, I've made it a thing. This is your 4th one because you're going to get one for today. Yeah, you're good. You're good. So you're going to have 4. On average, I think you'll have 4 journal entries a journal, like when you submit. It'll be 4 or 5 depending on how many times we meet, right? Because of the way that we alternate. Okay. Anything else? We good? Okay. So let's talk about today. So you're due now, and again, we don't have time to do it together, but I do want this included in your journal, okay, is to talk about what you thought was the most interesting part of the Elizabethan era. The Jacobean era refers to King James. I don't remember why they call it Jacobean, but off the top of my head. But that's what I want you to do for your essay or your journal entry for today, okay? So I like to give you time when I can, but just make sure to add that to your journal. Okay, so as I mentioned, we're in France now. Okay, so we've left England behind and we are in France. So remember, Charles the First, right? He gets killed. Bye. And Charles II, his son, and basically everybody who could left England and they went to France. They went to Paris. And Louis XIV is very excited to have them there because Louis XIV loves a few things, and those are war, their dances, they're having parties, and not only watching theater, but he liked to be in it. So like there was one, I think it's a royal ballet, where during the performance, Louis XIV was on stage in a big swing. And he just swang the whole time. So he loved to be the center of attention. He loved to hold parties. Everything was very extravagant, right? So he's pretty excited. He's got all these new people to like party with. Yeah, Zachary.
Can you use the restroom and and why does the person need to swing on this?
I don't know, because he wanted everybody to have to watch him, right? So he is a swing for real. Yeah. So he's just like, he's hanging out. This is great. Like he wants to party. Here we go. So they're with Louis XIV in France. Now, this is the time of neoclassicism. So essentially what happens is they rediscover a bunch of plays that had been written during the classical period, meaning Greek and Roman theater, right? And so they take some of the things that Aristotle and Horace wrote about what makes tragedy and drama great, and they make them into rules, right? So this is now going to be like, for your theater to be produced, you have to do these things. So some of them, and neoclassicism means the new classics. The first one is that a play has to be 5 acts, must be 5 acts, and it also has to be divided into what they call French scenes. Does anybody remember what a French scene is? It's a very specific term.
A vignette.
Sort of. Yeah. So let me grab, I conveniently right here have a big old volume of Restoration Drama, which, as you can tell, is just full of fun. Where did I get this? I actually don't know. Okay, so Act 3, Scene 1. Enter Khaldun, followed by Angelo and Medina. Then at Scene 2, enter Alcara and Bruscio. Scene 3, enter the Duke of Lerma. Scene 4, exit Lerma, Maria, and Khaldun. Scene 5, enter the king with a few. Scene 6, the king exits. Scene 7, everyone exits. What do you notice? What starts every scene, every new scene? What started every new scene? What did somebody do? Stage directions. Good, Ileana. A little bit more specific. What did I say? Name of person, and then they did what? They left or they came on. They enter or they exit. That's a French scene. Every time somebody new enters or exits the stage, new scene. Sometimes that's like 2 sentences. Sometimes there's 1 sentence. A messenger could come on and say like, "Sir, Mr. Adams has arrived," and then leave, and that's a scene. Okay. So every time somebody new enters or exits, it's a new scene in a French scene. Next rule that is new is that plays have to adhere to their genre. So this sort of goes back to what Horace said, right? That tragedies shouldn't have no comic relief and comedies should feature no sadness. It's one or the other. So again, kind of back to Horace. Yes, Zachary.
Does this ball still in French or no?
Yeah. Yep.
It's still in French.
Yeah, it's still in French. Yes. All of this stuff is happening in France. England doesn't have theater anymore because the religious sort of Cromwell and his religious cronies, who were called the Roundheads, didn't believe in theater. So, and we haven't gotten to Italy or Spain yet. So we're just talking France right now. Okay, so you can see how that second part at least comes from what Horace was saying, right? Horace is the one who established them as distinct genres, but now they've made it into a rule. Has to be one or the other. Okay, next rule. You have to perform on a proscenium theater. Now, this is partially due to the fact that they're going to create a bunch of proscenium theaters. And so it's like, well, we have all these proscenium theaters. Now it's the rule, right? But yeah, proscenium theaters, that's what you have to use. This is also part of why when I mentioned the first class that proscenium theaters are still like the most popular theater, this is, we can trace that all the way back to this, right? The next rule is that the scenery all goes behind the actors and they don't interact with it, right? So very similar to what they did in ancient Greece and ancient Rome, where the scenery was really just like a painted backdrop, if that, right? But we do have something new. And that is we have professional female actors on stage. So they don't want to have, we no longer have like the role of Juliet being played by a teenage boy, right? If the role is written for a woman, then it should be played by a woman. Any questions about this yet? Pretty straightforward, right? They're not messing around. This is just, they're like, hey, we read what Aristotle and Horace had to say, and here's what these are the rules we're making out of it. So next one, a purification of racy behavior and language, right? So they're saying if we're going to do, theater, it should be not super like racy, gross, sexy, right? Especially with tragedy. And in addition, we're back to the ancient Greek rules of tragedy where we cannot show violence on stage. So we're going back to that. Finally, they're going to establish the 3 unities as rules they believed were established by Aristotle. Does anybody remember what the 3 unities were? They're part of tragedy, Isaac. It's a unity of blank, blank, and blank. Zachary, you are correct, but they didn't call it plot. Okay. So the 3 unities are time, place, and action. Okay. So by time, they mean that the play should take place in around 1 day from start to finish. Okay. No more of this stuff with Shakespeare, with it taking multiple days or even sometimes years, right? Like Henry V takes place over 7, 8 years, I think, right? 1 day, right? Second, 1 location, right? Remember how almost all ancient Greek plays take place on the steps of the palace of whatever city we're in, right? So it's like pick a place, a dining room, that's a common one, a parlor, that's a common one, a garden, pick a place and stick with it, basically. And then finally, here's the big one. Action. One plot, no subplots. So we should follow just the protagonist. We don't want any of that subplot garbage going on, right? So this was their interpretation of what Aristotle said was good about a play when he sort of breaks down the sequence of events in a play, right? This is their interpretation of how that, of what that is made into law. The French love their laws when it comes to art and language. It's their favorite. Okay, so there's our time, place, and action, right? So the 3 unities, when I say 3 unities now, you're going to remember, right, that it's time, place, and action, okay? Okay. Oh, y'all. Why are you hurting me today? I'm very tired. I don't even know how to do this. There we go. All right. And now I'm stuck on an eraser. Excellent. Okay. So what else does neoclassicism mean? It means that theater is a social event as much as it is entertainment. So you're not just going to be entertained, you're going because you want to be seen there, okay? You want people to know that you're there, that you are important enough to be invited. And for some people, that's actually going to mean sitting on stage. They converted tennis courts into theaters. So that was kind of interesting, and I'll show you what that looked like. It also means that doors open 2 hours before the play begins. And they would serve drinks and they would serve hors d'oeuvres. They would basically make it into this whole, social event. So you were really there to see the play, but also to be seen, right? It's about fashion. It's about ladies would wear masks. I mean, it's like a whole thing. Yes, Zachary?
They should just doing kind of like ancient Greek in the past did.
Well, so yeah, they're trying to imitate it, right? They're taking all the stuff that they're reading and they're trying to imitate it as much as they can, right? While also making it a part of sort of like high society. Yeah. So we're going to talk about, actually, I'm going to show you a video about Moliere. Since we're running sort of low on time, I'm going to skip that. So this is what a tennis court theater sort of would have looked like, okay? So imagine, right, that this was a tennis court originally, and you had like the boxes around here that people would watch. So we're talking about like an indoor tennis court, okay? So basically, they would just take one part and make it into a proscenium stage. And you can see we have our actors and we have the setting behind it, right? You can see here we have people who are very important who are seated on stage. So that the people who are there to watch the play also, yeah, rich people, yeah, are also watching them, right? That's what I'm saying about there to see and be seen. We have a group of people here who are standing. These are people who could afford to get in, who were maybe sort of in like the working class or the merchant class. Sometimes it's also people who were sort of there because of fashion restraints. They were either like wearing dresses they couldn't sit down in, or they were like literally sewn into their pants. They were so tight, so they couldn't sit down wearing them. right? So that would be another reason, right? But a lot of it was they were cheaper. They had to stand the whole time. If you got tired, you could come back here to the benches and sit. And then you can sort of see the box seats, right? That surrounded the outside. So you had enough money to afford a seat. You were not, down here with the working class. But you're not quite good enough or rich enough to be seated on stage. So this is a drawing from I can't remember if it's the Théâtre du Temps de Molière. I think it is. But yeah, so this is what a converted tennis court would look like. So you can see they pretty easily made it, like added a proscenium stage and made use of what they had. Yes, Zachary.
Just look at the fans. They look like people just sitting on top of them.
Oh, here it's candelabras for light.
It looks like people just sitting on top of the fans.
Yeah, they're candelabras for light. Because remember, we're still in the age of mostly candle lighting, maybe a few oil lamps, right? So things aren't lit super well. And then you're also like, I mean, obviously these candles are like dripping, right? It's not great. Okay, so we're gonna watch a little video about Molière. And let me make sure that I am sharing my sound. If it helps you to turn off your video while you're watching, please do, because I know it eats up bandwidth for most people. Sorry. I literally just got that my connection is unstable, so I'm going to turn off my video. But as you're watching it, think about
reaching out here's
as you're watching it, think about what's changed in the theater, what the church thought of theater, and I want you to pay attention to Tartuffe and your reaction to the story of Tartuffe as it's displayed. Okay, sound good? Can you guys hear me? I'm going to put the link in the chat just in case.
My Zoom is glitching out like crazy.
Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat so we can try to like watch it all together separately. If that makes sense. Okay, so here's the link. So if it's easier for you to watch it through that, do so. And then it's about 12 minutes long.
Bonjour, I'm Mike Rignetta. This is Crash Course Theater, and bienvenue to our second episode set in France, French Renaissance to the Renaissancening. Today, we're going to take a closer look at theater architecture in Renaissance France, company organization, and the status of actors. And remember all of those neoclassical rules from the last time? Today, we'll meet a guy who broke a bunch of them. The hilarious, possibly incestuous, much buried comic writer Jean-Baptiste Poquelin, better known as Molière. We'll look at his most controversial play, Tartuffe, and also the play that killed him. So grab your baguette and let's go. The first French theaters weren't purpose-built for theater. Most were former tennis courts, really, really large tennis courts. But in 1548, the main producer of mystery plays, the Confrérie de la Passion, decided to build a permanent home, the Hôtel de Bourgogne. The government outlawed mystery plays that same year, though, so the Confrérie accidentally ended up owning a secular theater. It consisted of a pit or parterre below and a bunch of galleries and boxes above, the highest of them called the Paradis, because it was so close to heaven. Get it? In 1634, the Théâtre du Marais was built on the site of a former tennis court, of course. It burned down and a nicer version was built in 1644, so the Hôtel de Bourgogne had to get nicer too. At first, these theaters were built assuming medieval-style scenery, not all that fancy Italian chariot and pole stuff, but they got there eventually. The government didn't allow a theater troupe to settle permanently in Paris until 1629, so in the early years, the Confrérie rented the theater to some of the hundreds of touring companies who just happened to be passing through. The repertory then mostly consisted of medieval farces, classical adaptations, and foreign plays, plus a handful of new French pastorals and tragedies when they got lucky. In 1629, the king allowed the Troupe Royale to settle in at the Hôtel de Bourgogne, and in 1643, another company was allowed to take over the Théâtre du Marais. They were joined in 1658 by Molière's company, the Théâtre des Messieurs. Now that theaters have actors, who went to go see those actors at their theaters? Well, everyone, though women did usually wear masks. Like London, performances took place in the afternoons. Unlike London, the snack bar sold macarons. C'est magnifique. Nobles were sometimes seated on the edge of the stage, scandalously close to the working men standing in the pit. Companies usually consisted of 8 to 12 actors, plus a couple of apprentices, and every member shared some of the proceeds. After 1607, women performed as well. The status of actors remained dicey, but in 1641, superfan Louis XIII issued a proclamation saying that actors should be really, really careful not to perform anything immoral or indecent, but as long as they avoided lewdness, we desire that their occupation, which is capable of providing innocent diversion for our people from certain blameworthy activities, shall not be held to their discredit, nor prejudice their reputation. Isn't it nice when acting isn't criminalized? I think it's nice when acting isn't criminalized, but that still doesn't change the church's habit of denying actors baptism, marriage, or Christian burial. So we've come a long way, I guess. Still plenty far to go, though. As Louis XIII's proclamation suggests, his successor Louis XIV and their chief ministers loved theater and made France the performing arts vanguard of the late Renaissance. Richelieu was such a fan that he had a theater built into his own house, the Palais Cardinal, and made sure that there was plenty of Italianate scenery to fill it. But even before Richelieu's time, the court went big for royal entries, processions, festivals, and masks called Ballet du Coeur. Remember those really expensive and elaborate masks that sort of bankrupted England and helped bring about the Civil War? Charles picked up the habit in France. Louis XIV loved masks. When Versailles was being built, he sponsored one called Pleasures of the Enchanted Island, and it lasted 3 days. Around this time, opera also came into vogue, courtesy of the composer Jean-Baptiste Lully. Other kinds of theater weren't as fancy. French comedy was mostly a mix of medieval farce and ancient sources with jokes borrowed from touring Italian commedia dell'arte players. In the 17th century, a popular homegrown troupe emerged, consisting of the actor-writers Turlupin, Gros Guillaume, and Gauthier Gargy. Obviously, these are stage names. No one names their kid Fat William or Turlupin. Gauthier played old men, Gros Guillaume played fat men, Turlupin played wily servants. They became so popular that they had to play 2 shows a day in their temporary theater, which upset the more respectable actors at the Hôtel de Bourgogne. These actors appealed to Richelieu. He went and he saw the comedians and decided they were funny. They should join the Bourgogne's Troupe Royale. And that went pretty well until Gros Guillaume made fun of a magistrate, and then was thrown into jail, and then died. Such is the world that Molière arrives in. Stock characters, ancient sources, and fat jokes. Molière used them all, but also created something new. Contemporary comedies tweaking the morals and manners of the French bourgeois, the very people who were his audience. Molière was born in 1622 and well-educated. When he left school, his dad gave him a position at court, the keeper of the king's carpets and upholstered furniture. Very fancy. But Molière gave it all up to become an actor. When he was 21, he ran off with the actress Madeleine Béjart, and they founded the Illustrious Theatre. They toured for a couple years before going bankrupt. Molière went to prison for a day, someone paid the debt, and then the troupe went right back to touring. Molière founded a new company, picked up a couple patrons, and started writing farces that gently mocked French manners.
Okay, that was an exercise in futility because it lost its whole mind. Sorry, guys. Watch that video independently, please, if you will, so that I know. I also cannot see or hear anything, which is interesting. Hello. Let me stop my share and see if that helps. Okay. So sorry about that. Zoom obviously crashed for everybody multiple times. Okay. So watch that video independently. And we will have a little discussion about it when we meet next time. Okay. Because I do want to cover that, but it'll be easier when we can all watch it. Okay. And like I said, it's only like 10 minutes. So that's your homework then. Okay. So like I said, after like 18 years, Charles II comes back. He kicks, he kills Cromwell and he kicks the Roundheads out of England. And he brings back with him everything that we've talked about today. All the elements of neoclassicism he brings back with him. Okay. So when you watch this video, and it's in the PowerPoint that is in, what is this thing doing? That's in Schoology, sorry. Remember to think about about the church, about what's changed, and we'll have a quick conversation about it. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna go over some things again really quick because I'm still getting questions about the self-assessment, okay? So the self-assessment, it's not meant to trick you. It is as simple as it looks, okay? You go into class content. Can you guys see this? Yes? Okay. Class content, go into this folder for this week, 914 to 918. All you have to do is download this communication rubric. So actually download it. Open it up. And I want you to assess yourself based on how you feel like you're doing with clarity. Are you a novice? Are you a learner? Are you a practitioner? Type that here, right? Do that for each thing. At the end, save it. Oh boy. It's in the 914 to 918 folder. It's right here. 914 to 918 folder this week. You're going to save it, fill it out, save it, click on self-assessments, and turn it in. Just upload the file. In fact, we have 5 minutes. Do it right now. Right now. Click on communication rubric, fill it out, download it, fill it out, save it, upload it to self-assessment. That's what we'll do instead of, since we couldn't talk about Moliere. Okay, so then that'll be done. And then all you'll have to do is submit your journal entries. Okay, yeah, I gave you guys all credit because you're gonna do the self-assessment, so you should be able to turn in the file though, right? So just turn it in. Even if it says you already did it, if you can turn in the file, turn it in. Okay. So it should let you turn it in, I would believe. Let me stop sharing and see if I can see how preview it from your point of view. Oh, okay. So some of you have already submitted it, it looks like. So if you already did it, that's great. Bunch of people are turning it in right now. So journals, turn in your journals. If you need to do a makeup assignment, do that. Yes, you did. Gabrielle, the do now for today is at the very beginning of the PowerPoint. What did you think was the most interesting part of the Elizabethan or Jacobean era? I will put it in chat. Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
You're good. So journals, self-assessment, and then if you personally need to redo an assignment, okay, Kennedy, you need to just assess yourself at the bottom, right? Where it shows like, it says clarity, supporting ideas, right? So clarity, and then read across. Am I a novice? Am I a learner? Am I a practitioner or am I an expert? And you fill that out. And then supporting ideas, which one do you think you are? Right? Organization, which one do you think you are? So it's just you sort of. The do now is on the first slide of the PowerPoint, which you can find in the week, in this week. If you click on 914 to 918 and click on 917, it says lesson 4.PowerPoint. Click on that. Second slide, I think. Yes. Okay. That's okay. That's fine. Not a problem. I'm just trying to be very clear so that people don't get confused. So journal entry, self-assessment, and if you personally need to make up one of the assignments, then please do so. That's what I need you to do for me. So I'm seeing a bunch of people turning them in, which is making me happy. Okay, so the file for self-assessment is that thing right above that says communication rubric. There's no exit ticket. So the communication rubric, that's what you fill in for the self-assessment. I changed the name to communication rubric for self-assessment, so that maybe that would help. So it is 1 o'clock. I don't want to keep you from your lunch, but you are welcome to stay if you have a question or you want to finish turning that in. A bunch of you are turning it in. I really appreciate that. That's great. See ya. Good. It's just about you like sort of assessing yourself, and then we'll see, you know, how you feel like you're doing as the class goes on. You have to click the thing at the top. There might be like a yellow bar that says Something about allowing you to be able to edit it. And then you might be able to fill it in then. Okay, great. Perfection.
Where we can leave
Yep, as soon as you're done.
with the journal assessment or
Just the self-assessment.
oh okay.
Yeah, just
So bye.
okay, bye.
What's your question?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Zachary. Yeah. Guess who said hello?
Who?
Miss Linus.
Okay.
He just said okay. What?
Which one is your favorite cat? That's right.
Oh, my favorite cat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, calicos. Yes, I love calicos.
And on.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Dogs are better.
Okay. Sean, did you have any problems submitting your stuff? Are you good? I think he's okay. Miss West, do you want me to hang out with you until you get yours submitted?
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, then you're good, Sean. You are free to go when you are ready, Mr. McCulkle. Okay. I'm just gonna go eat lunch. So you're good. I don't think I have a meeting. Wait. Do I have a meeting? I honestly never know. No. Okay.
It took a second, but I got it.
Okay, great. Wonderful. All right. I will see you then. Okay, Sean, I'm going to grab lunch. So if you need anything, you're welcome to hang out. I'm just not going to be right in front of the computer. Okay. Okay, cool. Just didn't want to like leave you hanging. Hey, I'm here. I just turned my video off because I'm eating. So if you need anything, just shout for me. See you, Sean. Thank you.